journey as a business, looking ahead to think, actually, hey, we haven't seen anything yet. We've got a lot more challenge ahead of us. And then Matt's then going to take over and really try and reflect on some of the questions which we get asked by our clients so that we can start helping you understand the opportunities that the changing world that's around us presents to businesses. How would you go about finding a plumber if you're back in maybe, let's say, the year 2000? Now, can I make my little thing? Yes, you'd go to the Yellow Pages, wouldn't you? Yeah, everybody would do that, wouldn't they? Really? Really? Who's picked a plumber from the Yellow Pages or its today's equivalent? That's it. Okay, so remember this. Right, you've given this really nice thing that in the good old days was delivered to you through your door, if it could go through your door. If you lived in a flat, you'd have to pick up about 20,000 copies before you got your own. Okay, and you scroll through that and you went to a section called plumbers. Oh, plumbers, top of the list. People suss that. So then they went for one plumbers or one plumber or whatever. You know, they got clever. They started trying to manipulate that search, because lazy people like me can't really be bothered to read a fat book. I'm just going to hit the first few numbers. You know, come on, it's a plumber. You know, he or she's going to charge us quite a lot of money. Yeah, I know, but hold on a minute. Actually, it's going to be like for like. So if I have got to go down that directory route, I want to fiddle my way. If I'm a supplier in that, I want to make sure I'm really top of mind. So what did Yahoo do in 1994? It launched something called Yahoo Directory. A bit of a theme here, isn't it? It's a directory. It started a process by, frankly, a very simple thing, which was it put you up the rankings if you had more links. Fantastic. We're getting there. Okay. And then, a bit later on, 12 years later, Bing arrived. Okay, that wasn't Microsoft's first foray into search, but actually in all of that time, really, if we're absolutely honest about what's going on in that market, we just got go faster directories. We can find more things, we can be deluged by information, but we still have to rely to some extent on what we know about what's going on in the world. We're still trying to deal with directories. Everybody tried to trick their way to the top of Google rankings or to Bing's rankings or anybody else's. Still that same process of trying to find ways in which you could manipulate that data so that you really appeared first. Amazingly enough, and you've all heard these and kind of bring you up to date with today, you have all these sort of cuddly animals, and heard lots about penguin and panda and the changes that made, and hummingbird Luke's talked about, and lots of people already, so I'm not going to go back into some of that again, but I'm really just going to kind of say, actually, those are the headlines that everybody reads about, and they get circulated by businesses like ours. Hold on a minute, what are businesses like ours? Well, what do? Well, we do search engine marketing. We're trying to market to the search engines. Oh, we're doing search engine optimization. That's what we do. But hold on a minute, is that really what we should be focused on? Because actually, if you really think about it, well, I don't know, let's just give you a little tiny bit of data, nothing from what Harry at Google's going to present to you. I want to give you one Google factette. They change the algorithm they claim to change the algorithm about 500 times every year. So, working days, twice a day, all right? So they are constantly changing the rules by which we play. So do we think that we, at 4Ps, can keep up with that? No. There's no way that we can understand every single thing that Google's doing. Predominantly, of course, because it is machines learning about its machines, changing what its machines are doing. So there isn't a human being going there, oh, well, now we'll kind of do this. Actually, it's the learning that Google as a business is going through. So we can't track that. So hold on a minute, we're a search agency saying to you guys, our customers and people that know 4Ps, well, hold on a minute, well, that's not what we do. No, we shouldn't be focused on the search engines. We've really got to be thinking about what is it that search engine is doing. It's allowing customers who are doing a search. So, going back to definitions and boring things like that, what is a search? Well, it's me actively seeking to find something. So I'm looking, I have an intention, I want to find something. Yeah. Our collective job is to get the right information to people in the right way and in the right time, yeah, and in the fashion in which I would like to get it. Which starts to bring us a little bit on to, that's today, we all recognise that. We are all trying, as Luke said in the last half an hour, match content against those requests. That's absolutely what we're going to do. But I just want to kind of think a little bit about, well, where has that past history taken us? Where are we going to tomorrow?
We have to look back at our user and they go through this process. Now, when we're making the case for search, typically it's being made there on the conversion end because it's really easy to measure. Within a small period of time, someone performs an action, we measure it and go, yep, that investment worked, there's the outcome. Nice. Okay, so that kind of makes sense, but what that kind of led to, arrow, is people like this. The accounts team will go, hold on a second then, right, traffic, here's traffic you're showing me, equals money. Great news. Okay, let's do more of that. This spreadsheet says yes. So that's where the case for search is typically made, not looking at the whole picture. We're looking at it through the wrong end of the telescope, if you like. We're seeing a bit of it, that little conversion segment, and we're seeing the part we can measure very easily, but that's not the whole case for search. Search is a lot more than that. So what sort of things do we see from this? And I'm sure you've all seen one of these. This is what I call the Johnny iPhone example. You've probably all got one of these in your markets or have one. You probably didn't call them Johnny iPhone, I just tend to call them all that. But they're that guy who outranks you and you think, hold on, my business is much better than yours. I'm actually really good. On my offline, I'm number one. How did this guy get above me? It's through that old SEO we're talking about. The trouble is, that trust that we were talking about and that message we've been trying to say the whole day, where we're actually building up and you're connecting and establishing it in the market, when you were doing this, it was built on a lie. So great, Google updated itself. This isn't such much of a problem anymore. But what is a problem is the way we make a case for search is still lingering around this sort of SEO 5, 6, 7 years ago. Okay, sort of making sense so far. So how do I create trust? Again, I'm glad you asked. It's a good question. And what we need to do is focus on our user, our target audience. They probably don't all look like that, but some of them do. And how do we please them? How do we gain trust? It's quite simple. They have a question, you provide the answer. It's not always a question, it's a need of some sort, and you have the solution. But if you consistently, over time, answer your consumers' questions, you create trust. The problem, when we bring this back to making a case for search, is that's not quite so easy to measure, which is the key point. You're creating trust. You've already started to create that trust. It's already commercial. What you need to ask yourself is, how do I measure my success at that level? I've created that. How do I measure it? How do I measure the impact of what I've done here? You don't just necessarily throw product offers in front of these people that you've been given really good content to. Football analogy, sorry guys, but bear with me. So, if you imagine a football pitch, and over here, that's a conversion. We're scoring goals, great, company's doing well. Here are my strikers. Here is distance to goal, or time if you like. When someone, imagine this here, your defenders are your awareness people, just becoming aware of your brand. Consideration, people are starting to consider you as an option for the problem they had. And in the conversion end, they're like, yeah, I want to buy what you've got. Great. So if we take that notion and think, right, so these guys are scoring all the goals. So my brand search looks very good. It's getting me all the conversions. My long tail keywords are doing very well. CPAs are really low. Great, I can smash that. So what happens when you start trying to score goals from the awareness level? Will you try, and someone who's just introduced to your brand, will you try and get them to convert at that point? Doesn't seem like a sensible option to me. Same here. And these people start trying to shoot a goal from way off. We're trying to give them content or trying to give them a message which they're not ready for. That's not the sort of content they need at that point. Which comes back to Luke's point about the keywords, recipes, more specific recipe, children's lasagna, I think he said. And that's the argument here. When we're making the case for search, we need to make it on 3 different levels. So we make it on the short term. That stuff which is really close to conversion, we can measure that because it happens over a short time period. So when I've got my monthly investment, I'm going to spend £10,000 with Google on AdWords, great, and I'm going to see the revenue that month. Okay, but what about the revenue the next month and the next month? Or if I exacerbate that even further and make it an SEO case, I have to make an investment over time to build my rankings in the market or when I'm trying to establish myself. Now, again, I can measure this fairly quickly, but it's the impact here and the impact here which is a lot harder to measure. Does that make sense? So does it make sense that when you're trying to make your case for search, putting it on a spreadsheet and your annual budget versus the revenue you've generated in that year is not going to give you the full picture? So you have to measure your effectiveness at these levels in a different way, which comes to the measurement plans that Matt Stanner was talking about before, and that will be different for everyone, how effective you are in the medium and the long term.
So we've done really well. We've managed to convert as many customers as we possibly can. We're getting close to saturation. What's our next step as our business? We've actually got to recreate. We've got to build our business to meet that customer demand. And the great thing about search is a lot of that market information is already there for you. So search can help you build that business case for your next group of customers. And amazingly enough, if you continue with that search journey, you're then able to use the data in order to test the market. You use paid search to understand the ability of your new chosen segment to do it. Use long-term or the longer process of SEO to start building up the content that starts answering those questions. So now, as a business, great, we've been really successful closing off, being good at conversion. We've now managed to grow our market share by trying to identify and meet a new market segment. But actually, what we might want to do beyond that is the long term. Where are we going as a business? How are we going to actually make us Plumbers UK rather than Plumbers of London? Okay, now it's a much longer term kind of strategy. And that's, again, just to emphasize the point that Matt made. Actually, you're then looking at how your business is changing over that period. And the last thing that your business will think is, oh, we can do that in 3 months. Yeah? You're probably looking at 5 years strategy in order to achieve that. So, there is no such thing. If I come back fully to the beginning of the journey I took you through our session, Yellow Pages is still going now. Okay, it's in a slightly different form. But actually, let's look at those search engines. Google's 20 years old. It's still learning. It's still adapting. But it's been going for a long time. They haven't suddenly got here really quickly. Yes, the internet changed loads of things. But fundamentally, the only way to get success is to grow, to be ambitious, and to really invest at a business level at trying to attract those new markets. Search is not a shortcut to that. Search has to be part of your business strategy, and it absolutely has to be part of your marketing strategy to go out and meet those customers. It's not a quick fix. It's not a quick win. So the next company that comes to us and says, please do our 4Ps, do a search strategy based on the back of a spreadsheet, we'll say it's only part of the picture. And if we can help you build that measurement plan, that's something obviously that we'll be delighted to do. And that's not a sales thing. It's just trying to make people understand that actually the world that you're trying to service is complicated. There is loads of data. There are loads of tools. But actually, you've got to work really hard to actually make it work.